This is my 2005 W211 chassis E320 CDI, and I have a no crank, no start problem. I get a few messages on my instrument cluster, ESP, SRS, which is the airbag. ESP is related to the SBC pump. And when I go to start the car, I'm not getting any glow plug light. So that's how I know it's decided to not start. Let's toggle it again. No glow plug light. It's supposed to be right there on that part of the clock. And this started a while ago, and I used to be able to just toggle the key multiple times, and it would finally start after about 30 toggles. But now it's more consistently just not working. So I took it to my mechanic to be diagnosed, and he said my ECU is bad. And I at first thought it was my SBC pump keeping my car from starting, but the car is not supposed to leave you stranded with the SBC pump not working, because the brakes will still work, you just won't have brake assist. So let me show you how you can start the car. You can either use a jumper. Hold on, dropped it. Use a jumper like this, or use a wire with alligator clips on it. So let's go around, pop.
Alright, go to your fuse box right here, or the front SAM module, pull that out.
Okay, so you can either take this relay out right here and use a jumper from this back slot right there to the front one right here. And you'll hear some stuff clicking, and my fan turns on. And that's because my car is already warm, and I'll show you, it'll start like this, but the fan calms down when you start it, but you have to leave that jumper in or the car shuts off. So I don't think you want to necessarily do it that way. So I'm going to put it in like that, put that back in, and I'm going to show you a way to where you only need the jumper while the car is starting. So this wire is the brown yellow wire from the ECU to the SAM module. It has a little bit of insulation shaved off to expose some copper. I'm going to gently connect that there because it's a small wire, don't want to break it. And I'm going to connect this to the ground. And something is turned on over there.
Anyways,
I have an ESP error and an SRS. Turn the car off, turn it back on. But my glow plug light turns on, and I can start the car, and I can go back to the fuse box and disconnect that jumper, and then close my fuse box up and get on my way. So I've jumped the car a few times like that with the alligator clips, and I disconnect it once it's started, and I can drive it along, and I have no other problems, no other hiccups, nothing screwing up. The fan turns on and off like it's supposed to. Everything works, I think. And but then when I turn the car off, sometimes it'll just randomly decide to work without the jumper. Like just now, I don't have the jumper. It's right here, it's not connected, and the car decides to start. So it'll sometimes do that after I use the jumper 3 or 4 times in a row. The car will then randomly just work without the jumper 3 or 4 times in a row. Yep, and the glow plug light turns on. Can start the car. And I have no jumper right now. So it's this brown and yellow wire. So at first I thought this was the SBC problem, so I took it to the dealer because there's an extended warranty. They did a service where they replaced the fluid. The car worked with no problems for about a month, and then I got the ESP warning again, and the car had an intermittent start, and then one time the SRS light came on when it decided to not start, and so I finally got to the point where it was just consistently not working. So I took it to my mechanic to diagnose no crank, no start. And he told me my ECU must be bad. He spent about 2 hours checking all these circuits, making sure certain things were getting power. And he thinks the ground that comes from the ECU to the SAM module isn't working, and you need that to start the car. Other than that, the car works fine. Even when I would get the ESP error, I would still have full braking power and full brake assist. So I'm just gonna send my ECU off to be repaired. That's what my mechanic told me that was the issue. It's that little ground is not working. The ECU is supposed to provide that to the SAM module, I think. So I don't think I'm actually getting an ESP malfunction or an SRS for the airbag. I think the computer is just throwing that, and that's just part of its problem right now. So there's companies online that'll fix the ECU anywhere from $250 to $900 and more. My mechanic quoted me about $2,200 to replace the ECU because he has to order it from the dealer. The part itself for the E320 CDI is $1,200 for the ECU, but since this is a 2005, the dealer told them that they have to replace the EGR as well, because the 2005 EGR had a lot of problems and they updated it for the 2006. So the 2005 EGR apparently will not communicate with a newer ECU. But if you've already replaced your EGR, it's most likely that you have an updated EGR. So you can possibly just replace your ECU. But that's what the dealer told my mechanic. And the 2005 EGR doesn't communicate in the same way. Actually, they didn't tell him why. They just told him they had to. I looked it up and I found someone mentioning that in a forum. So I hope this helps somebody out, and I hope you can get your car home and get it fixed. All right.